let's move over to Bernie Sanders because, I like to pick a raging liberal. That's my term, a raging liberal, to get their take on what's going on inside of these situations. And Bernie Sanders says Zelenskyy should reject calls to resign in order to create peace. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Welcome back. And joining me now is independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Senator Sanders.
When did Bernie Sanders become independent? I thought he was a real liberal Democrat.
Welcome back to Meet the Press.
Great to be with you.
It's wonderful to have you back, Senator.
I love Meet the Press. I love it.
Let me start with Ukraine and that Oval Office meeting. The reaction continues to pour in, and you just heard me speak with House Speaker Mike Johnson. He left the door open to the possibility that it may be necessary for President Zelenskyy to resign in order to get to a broader peace agreement. Let me ask you this question. Do you think that President Zelenskyy needs to resign in order for there to be a peace deal?
I don't think that President Zelenskyy should have to resign.
I think that is a horrific suggestion.
I think that is a horrific. I think that is a horrific suggestion. I'm gonna get my Bernie Sanders fixed. I'm gonna get all the way Bernie Sanders. I'm gonna practice that on the weekend, and by the time Monday come, we're gonna have our Bernie Sanders. Our Bernie Sanders. I think that is a horrific. I'll get it right. We're going to work on it. Let's get to what Bernie Sanders has to say, y'all.
Zelenskyy is leading a country trying to defend democracy against an authoritarian dictator, Putin, who invaded his country. And I think millions of Americans are embarrassed.
Put more old man in my voice.
You have a president of the United States who says that Ukraine started the war, that Zelenskyy is a dictator. He's got it exactly backwards. The people of Ukraine have lost tens of thousands of soldiers. Their cities are being bombed as we speak.
I'm going to practice on that.
And our job is to defend the 250-year tradition that we have of being.
No, our job is not to defend a 250-year tradition as people are getting bombed out of their homes. Our job is to figure out how to reach a peace agreement so that everything could be straight. Bernie said our job is to defend. No, our job is to find peace. This ain't got nothing to do with America. This is not our business.
Being the democratic leader of the world, not turn our backs on a struggling country that is trying to do the right thing.
And we will continue to follow that, of course, Senator. We have a lot to get to, so I'm going to talk about budget cuts and switch topics here so we can get to that as well. You heard Speaker Johnson argue that there's massive amounts of waste, fraud, and abuse in entitlement programs like Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. In fact, the Government Accountability Office does say that both Medicare and Medicaid made more than $100 billion in payment errors in 2023. Let me ask you, Senator, Democrats were in charge for 4 years. Should the Democratic Party have done more to address some of those issues with the insolvency of our entitlement programs?
And Trump was in power 4 years before that.
Oh, no. Why do they continue to deflect and not take responsibility for what they did? What did I say about Bernie Sanders? What did I say about Bernie Sanders the other day? When him and Jasmine Crockett, and I did a whole review video on them. I said that Bernie Sanders should be held accountable for the purse strings. Congress controls the purse strings for every single thing that's funded inside of the United States of America. That is their job. That is one of their only jobs. One of the only jobs that Congress had. The reason that they make between $177,000 and $300,000 a year, depending on your tenure, I'm assuming, or whatever. The reason that they make all of the money is because they are the ones that control the money unless there is an emergency, a declaration of an emergency inside of the United States of America, an act of war, a terrorist attack, a federal emergency, something like that, which everything seems to be an emergency nowadays. That is their job. Their main job is to balance the budget and control where the money is going. Why haven't people like Bernie Sanders, who has been in office since Moses, why haven't they at some point asked for an audit of our government agencies that we're funding? Why does it take a person that has to come in from outside as a business person to come in and say, you know what? We need to go and audit and find out where all of the money going. Not their only job, but their main job. Their main job is to control where we put in our dollars as American taxpayers. And they have failed miserably the entirety of the time that they've been in office.
Look, if there is waste and fraud in the Defense Department, which is the largest single budget item that we fund, which has not been able to fulfill an independent audit in the last 7 times, where there's massive waste and fraud, we should go after waste, fraud, and abuse in every agency of government. There's no argument about that. But let us be very clear. What Republicans are trying to do right now is to make massive cuts in Medicaid, over $800 billion, cuts in nutrition programs.
No, dog. No. And see, I wish I could do some of these interviews sometimes. I wish I could. I don't like doing interviews that much, honestly. I don't like doing, I like asking questions. I like being the interviewee. I don't like the process afterwards as far as editing and getting it done. Like, I just like asking the questions and then keeping it moving. I don't like all of the post-production stuff that has to come with interviews. But I would do this one because you know what Bernie Sanders did? He never answered the question. He never answered the question. He never answered why there's hundreds of billions of dollars in errors and payments and these government programs that you have been responsible for. And if you've known that they've actually been failing these audits for all of this time, why haven't you done anything about it? No, but it wasn't until Trump got in office that now they feel some type of way and they believe that they need to do something different.
Which feed hungry children. Why are they doing that? Because they want to be able to use those savings to provide over $1 trillion in tax breaks for the richest 1%.
Well,
for
the richest
Elon
1%, because we got
and
a
the
tax for
Zuckerbergs
rich,
and the Bezoses of the world. In my view, you don't take food away from children, health care away from struggling people to give tax breaks to billionaires.
Audit
Do we go
the
after waste
government.
and fraud in every agency of government? Yes, we do.
Well, let me ask you about Social Security. And you raised Elon Musk, Senator, so let me follow up with you on this very point. Because he's made some very pointed comments about Social Security. I referenced it earlier in the broadcast. This was to Joe Rogan. I'd like you to hear it and get your reaction on the other side. Take a look.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time. Basically, people are living way longer than expected. And there are fewer babies being born. So you have more people who are retired and get
less people to pull into the
live
system
for a long time and get retirement payments. So the future obligations. So however bad the financial situation is right now for the federal government, it'll be much worse in the future.
Yep.
Senator, President Trump says he's not going to touch Social Security. Elon Musk calls it a Ponzi scheme. Do you agree?
It is.
Now, I think what Musk, the wealthiest guy in the world, just said is totally outrageous. That's a hell of a Ponzi scheme when for the last 80 years, Social Security has paid out every nickel owed to every eligible American.
I don't think that listen, we got to get these guys out of here. I don't even think he knows what a Ponzi scheme is. I don't even think he knows what a Ponzi scheme is. he doesn't know what a Ponzi scheme is. Did you hear his response to why that's outrageous?
That's a hell of a Ponzi scheme.
They hate Trump and Elon Musk so much to where they can't even objectively say, you know what, that is true. Because this isn't even something that we could debate. This is a fact. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's exactly what a Ponzi scheme is. You're not solvent enough from the people that originally contributed into it. And so in order for it to remain solvent, you need me to work my butt off so that my money can go into Social Security with the hope that eventually there'll be some left for me that's based off of the fact that somebody that came after me can then fund the Social Security. We're paying Social Security for the people that are currently on Social Security. That's a Ponzi scheme. So you find more people to pay into the system so that the system remains solvent. It doesn't have an endowment because we don't manage money effectively in the federal government. If it had an endowment or savings, right? If there was a certain amount of money that was put up and said, you know what, this money is going to continue to make interest, we're going to run up a bag on it, and that'll allow for it to remain solvent, and it's going to be more fruitful and have more money in it because it's going to make money on top of money because we're operating at a surplus, and the people that paid into it, here was your money, we set it to the side, it's making interest, and it should outlive you. Your money is going to outlive you. That is what a solvent system is supposed to be. When you have to get more people to contribute into a system so that you can pay out the people that are already getting payments, that's called a Ponzi scheme. Objectively. It's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democrat thing. It's a system. When you retire, for all of us that's sitting here watching this show right now, when you retire, we're going to have Gen Z and whatever the new name for the new generation is, they're going to be paying for us when we start drawing from Social Security because the people that we paid for took all of our money and we didn't want to do an audit to make sure that we was getting money out there to the people that's supposed to have it. That's literally a Ponzi scheme. How is that outrageous?
For the last 80 years, Social Security has paid out every nickel owed to every eligible American. Quite a Ponzi scheme. What is in fact a problem is that if we don't make reforms and improve the funding mechanism, in the next 9 years, the Social Security Trust Fund, which provides about 20% of the funding, will go broke. So what we have got to do, and I think most Americans agree,
get these guys out of office.
Legislation
get them out of office, bro.
Is you lift the cap on taxable income. Right now, Musk, worth $400 billion, contributes the same amount into the Social Security Trust Fund as somebody making $170 million.
But guess what? He'll never draw from it. Elon Musk in 2021 alone paid $11 billion into our tax system. There's no way in hell he will ever be able to draw the amount of money that he needs, and he probably won't ever even take it. He'll never be able to draw anything close to the resources that he's contributed into the system. And you know what his solution is? To tax him more, because we have mismanaged it. Man, I'm telling you, bro, these people need term limits, man.
If you lift that cap, we can extend the solvency of Social Security for 75 years, and you can raise benefits. Kristen, right now in America, half of elderly people are trying to get by on $30,000 a year, 22% on $15,000 a year. We've got to raise Social Security benefits. We've got to expand Medicare to include hearing, dental, and vision, not go after these programs which are so important to millions of our seniors.
I want to talk about what...
If y'all are still on the Democratic plantation, put a 1 in the chat. If you are a Democrat, if you are a liberal, and don't be scared, I just want to know who my audience is. I know a lot of y'all not going to do it. I know a lot of y'all can't do it because you may be watching me from the TV or whatever. But if you are a part of the liberal plantation, a Democrat plantation, and you believe that this makes sense, put a 1 in the chat. This is horrible. This is insane. This is terrible to be listening to Bernie Sanders talk like this. This is I want to say the R word, but I can't say the R word because we're on the Millionaire Morning Show. This is the R word. The RETA R. I'm going to just leave it there. Zzz. You're a 1. I see a 1. I see a couple 1s. I only see a couple 1s. Few 1s. I never said it. I never even spelled it out already. It is. It's R. It's R. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Bernie Sanders, ladies and gentlemen. Feel the burn. Feel the burn.